Welcome back to my hardcore challenge to get every class to level 60 in TurtleWoW's hardcore mode. No auction house, no trading, no gold in the mailbox. In the last video I finally reached level 60 with my first class, a priest. Now it's time to start the next challenger, a troll shaman. Some random generation in both looks and name later, and we have Shalani. Let's see what the AI art generator can give her. Ah yes, more filters than a beauty app at work here. After a short dance party under a rested XP tent, I head off to Mulgore to double my early XP. Getting as much early XP is great for getting a level up advantage in the Barrens or Stone Talon, but it also leads to you fighting grey mobs. Mob XP is probably better, so I've been slowly dialing back on the starter zones with the past characters. Durotar and Mulgore are the only ones I'll do on Shalani. In Mulgore I find a chest, and it actually has something I can use in it. A nice axe to get me through the first few levels. Into the Barrens I hit level 20. As will be the case with all the classes going forward, I'll have to say that TurtleWoW has made a few changes to every talent tree. Most notably in the Enhancement tree, a new skill 11 points in. This is a fun little skill. It does 20% weapon damage, 10% nature damage, and expends a powered up version of your stored shield. TurtleWoW also added Water Shield and Earth Shield in, so this works with them too. This is Stormstrike with a different flavour, but I like the extra thought that goes into what shield to use with it. Also, as a side note, loading a shield and then expending it with this skill feels like picking a bullet and firing it. I have to reload my shield between fights to use it too. This interaction would have felt great on a hunter. Over in Silverpine, I try fighting some low-level elites for a quest. Then I see the one thing you never want to see in hardcore, someone leading a bunch of elites to you that can aggro onto you. I don't even know why that elder switched to me, but thanks, other player. Thankfully I was in a position to run and not pinned down inside the town. I then push my elite fighting luck to the limit in the Tirisful uplands by trying to kill the mage up there. Of all the elite quests, this is one of the safer options. No ads, and if it goes bad there's a cliff right next to him that you can jump to safety off. Keep in mind the reduced fall damage in TurtleWoW. I managed to take him down without much issue, so no need for base diving. Up in Stone Talon I encounter the bane of all hardcore characters, enemies that run. An unlucky miss leads to him reaching the other son of Cenarius, and suddenly I have 4 enemies on me. I try to run, wishing I had my priest's AoE fear at times like this. But there's hope ahead, another player coming to help, and they ran right past. Thanks, that's okay, I've got this. My slowing totems don't help when I'm constantly being dazed. I have to resort to a healing potion as I try to crawl to safety. But finally, they give up, and I make it out alive. With all that behind me, I finally get my first shoulders for the effort of going to the peak. A few quests in Ashenvale later and I hit level 30. Not that high in level, but so far it's my second best score in this challenge. Shadumbra drops me a nice gift for the accomplishment, some nice stamina shoulders. Now I can look as fancy as a mage. And I'll need the extra stamina as I get ambushed by a bunch of stealthed night elves. To make matters worse, they have knockdown too. I was already beginning to back away and plan to run. Thankfully I made it out okay. While questing in Sows and Needles, I start the escort quest around the Wyverns. Out in the Shimmering Flats I find a nice 12-slot bag. I haven't had the blue drop luck of my priest, but I've been getting plenty of bags. Now I don't notice this at the time, but keep this guy in mind. A mountain lion jumps me, so I turn to fight it. I see the name of the other lion attack me from behind, and at first I think it's a player's pet. He starts chunking through my health, and I'm already down to a third of my HP by the time I realise it's a rare. That other player somehow transferred the aggro to me rather than it resetting after his death. Thankfully the rare was almost dead, otherwise it definitely would have killed me. I at least got 2 greens as compensation, though I do feel bad that the Orc Warlock should have gotten them instead. I didn't mean to steal his kill, it was self-defense I tell ya. Now for one of the more dangerous quests, sneaking into South Shore's graveyard. It's safer than it appears, no guards patrol near the grave you have to reach, but you need to know where you're going to begin with. Out in Arathi, I find a chest in the Ogre camp. To my surprise, it gives me a good upgrade for my belt. But soon I have a bad pull with some of the air elementals. I try to fight them, but 125 damage per hit is a bit too much to handle with 2 enemies. I put the swiftness potions I've been carrying to good use and managed to escape. In the last video, I talked about how good escape tools matter more than anything else. Well, a swiftness potion is something that any class can use to save your life. I'll definitely be carrying these on my future characters. Now for something funny. One day there was a crash on TurtleWoW. I logged back in when I heard the servers were up and then realised things looked off. Only 1 bag, nothing in it? What's going on? Then I opened my character window. Something went majorly wrong and everyone was now naked. Being naked on a hardcore character is a whole different level of terror. My near 2k HP was now down to 900 and I had no armour, no weapons, so if a mob attacked me I would have to rely on spell damage alone. To make matters even worse, all items were gone including everyone's Hearthstone. No escape from this terror. And for all the poor hardcore characters that were disconnected near enemies, they were now logging back into the meat grinder. I don't know if the devs revived their characters or not, but hopefully they didn't lose their characters this way. The servers were taken down a few minutes later so they could fix the issue. But don't worry, when the servers came back up, all our items were restored, good as new. The devs provided an explanation of what happened. Essentially, too many items on too many players caused an integer overflow that errored item retrieval when the server started up, so no one loaded their items from the database. The difficulties of dealing with a game engine made for 2004. That aside, I head to Stromgarde Vale and finally hit level 40. Much like my priest at this point, I'm starting to feel confident that I can make it to 60. A bonus for hitting 40 is I can now use mail armor. I was even saving some drops just for this moment. While learning my spells in Orgrimmar, I saw someone advertising for Arathi elites. I asked to join and then headed over. We started off by scouting for Fosruk and took him down for the first quest. We have an easy clear with the ogres, and soon we head back to pick up the next step of the quests. Inside Stromgarde, we find a rare elite and clear a path to her. As we go to enter the other part of Stromgarde, we find a mage trying to solo the elites. We planned to sneak past, but the elites behind prevented us from moving forward. I'd like to give myself some credit for being observant here, as you've seen how often I screw up. When I turned around, I noticed that the mage was gone, meaning he ran, meaning the elites are about to leash back to where we're standing. I warned my team, but I probably should have been more specific. With us caught, there's no other option than to try and fight through them. I have enough experience to back that up. But after all that, we all came out of it alive and I got a nice blue chess piece for the risk. Back to solo questing, but still with elites. I decide to try and solo a croc for a quest. My initial instinct is to run when I see the hits of 200 damage coming in, but I'd managed to do enough damage to him to think that I could kill him. Some lucky wind furies later, and I make it out alive. Not a moment too soon as I ran out of mana toward the end. I find a guy doing the Bloodsail quests and team up with him. These pirates can be dangerous if they chain run into each other. Well, that could have gone horribly. On the plus side, this camp is completely cleared out now. In Dustwallow Marsh, I'm on the search for the non-elite dragons. When I pull one, I get a surprise from an elite croc. I'm not going to risk this at all, and I run the moment I see him. Thankfully, this escape goes well, but the amount of dazes I get from them could have gone a lot worse in another situation. In the ongoing list of biting off more than I can chew, I decide to try the final Skull Splitter troll quest in Stranglethorn. All I need to do is clear 2 ads and then the boss. And shortly into it, I see how bad it's going and decide to bail. I was worried I wouldn't have a clean escape route given how packed this area is with trolls, but I managed to get away. Time to forget this quest though. Now to the Swamp of Sorrows. As I pull a Draenei to get the crystals, I notice a new name. A rare, and a hard-hitting one at that. Sadly, he only dropped cloth pants for me though. At level 46, I finally have enough gold for my mount. I also finished the quest chain for the Troll Shaman racial skill, Hex. It doesn't work the same as on retail, it's not a sheep spell. It just reduces their attack by 66% for 4 seconds, but that's still a nice defensive tool. I get all kinds of drops in Feralis. First a 14 slot bag, then my first blue drop. Finally, I hit level 50. Just like with my priest, I'm now into the final countdown and every quest is much more stressful. Back to Feralis. I try finishing off the music quest. The hardest part is soloing these treants. Luckily they don't have as much health as other elites their level, but they do still hit hard. With them dead, all that's left is the mountain giants. These are elite too, but they're not as hard as the treants. I imagine most people know this, but I'll explain it here for those few who don't. You can grab the giant shrinker from this quest and it will work on the mountain giants too, making it easy to grab the quest items. With that quest chain done, I can pick up a nice blue weapon that will probably carry me through to 60. I go with the one-handed weapon as I'm finding it easier to level with a shield. I end up using less mana to heal so I can use shocks more. Over in Ashara, finally, my latency catches up. Thankfully I survived that and didn't pull any other Naga during it. Up in Felwood, I fight my way into Jadenar. Knowing how tough this place is, I synced up the 2 quests you have to do here. Whoops. That's the vial for the Satyr's Moonwell. 1 quest later and I have the right item. There's no syncing these quests up, they're part of the same chain. Honestly, it's not even worth fighting your way back in here a second time. This quest chain just leads to the one that heads down into the barrow dens underneath Jadenar. And later in Felwood, I hit level 55, just 5 more levels to go. And as a reward, my second blue item drop. Unfortunately, it's a wand. My priest could have used this. I head to Ungoro to quest some more, finding T-Rexes everywhere I look. And amongst that T-Rex threat, I try to do the Pterodactyl quest, an awful quest that will fear you every few seconds. I can't emphasize enough just how useless tremor totems are. They pulse every now and then, but the fear is often over by the time they pulse. Also, you get feared out of their range.
Tremor totems.
The Alliance had it good in Classic with Fear Ward. I happened to miss that as I'm fighting this Pterodactyl and continue to drag him back to my Tremor Totem.
This is the one thing we didn't want to happen.
So now I'm in a bad situation. I'm trying to run, but the Pterodactyl keeps fearing me every few seconds. My health gets low, so I pop a health pot. I managed to get an Earthbind totem down before the next fear hits, but it's not going to help much when I can't run. Finally, I'm free from the fear, but I have daze. And he eats me like the lawyer in the bathroom. Chad is eating good tonight with that death.
He's out of line, but he's right.
Someone found my grave and came to cry at it, but I can't see them from the spirit realm. Well, with that over, let's review. I had been looking around me while questing. I did manage to get my priest through on Goro after all. That's also how I kept getting footage of the T-Rexes, I kept spotting them. Speaking of my priest, this is the exact same spot that I dealt with that lag spike that almost killed me. This is just a cursed spot. Thankfully that T-Rex didn't walk through when my priest was lagging here. I tried dropping a Stoneclaw totem to pull aggro, but it looks like it died in one hit. This is my petition to buff Stoneclaw totem. At level 55, it only has 411 HP. A rank 1 target dummy has 1000 HP. Shaman deserve better. Besides that, I'm honestly just surprised with how long I lasted. If it wasn't for the fear, I may have managed to survive long enough to get out of his range. Well, all that's left to say is goodbye Shalani. You almost made it to 60. If not for that T-Rex, I think I would have made it. I hadn't had a scare for a few levels and had found a safe groove to level with. But no time to dwell, it's time for the next challenger. A rogue. A high elf rogue, so it's back to the Alliance and back to the light of a loon. Man, I wish I had one of those on Shalani. So, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching and I hope you're enjoying the series. If you want to support me, please download my game, Pocket Turtles, from the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. Leave a like on the video and share it around if you enjoyed it. Have a good rest of your day.